At my sister-in-law's wedding reception, I was cornered once again. Well, it seems our plain Jane, our not-so-educated daughter-in-law, is about to bless us with her singing, my mother-in-law said loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear, a mocking smile tugging at her lips. Come on, step up on the stage, ugly duckling, she sneered, as if I was just there for her amusement. I swallowed hard and stood up from my seat. I didn't want to make a scene, especially on a day that was supposed to be joyful, but saying no wasn't an option. As usual, my mother-in-law found a way to humiliate me, even at someone else's celebration. Hurry up, don't waste everyone's time, she barked impatiently. I'm Erica, I'm 33 years old, living with my husband Paul, who's the same age as me, and our 4-year-old daughter, Janice. Paul and I have been married for 8 years now. I grew up without parents, raised by my grandparents, but I became independent early. I dropped out of high school and worked at a factory to support myself. Paul and I reconnected at a high school reunion when we were 21. We hit it off, fell in love, and after Paul graduated college, we got married. Since then, I've supported him, cared for our home, worked part-time, and raised our little girl. Lately, Janice had been showing a lot of interest in singing. Mom, teach me how to sing, she'd often say. It made me so happy. I used to be the president of the choir club back in high school, and even now, I take voice lessons for fun. Singing is something I still love, and I secretly hoped one day I could sing with my daughter, sharing that special bond. But back to the wedding, I sang. I did my best, but of course, my mother-in-law watched me with critical eyes, no doubt judging every note. 3 days after the wedding, she called me. Is Janice home? She asked. I'm sorry, she's at her voice training lesson right now, I answered before realizing my mistake. My heart sank. I had just revealed something I shouldn't have. What? Voice training? Without consulting me first? You really are thoughtless. I'll teach her myself, she declared as if it were decided. My mother-in-law had a strong musical background. She had graduated top of her class from a prestigious music school, but she was harsh, strict. Paul and his sister had been raised under her heavy hand. I didn't want Janice to lose her love for singing because of that. Mother-in-law, I said calmly, I appreciate your offer, but Janice's happiness is what matters most. If she enjoys her lessons, I want to let her continue freely. But she brushed me off and hung up. I thought the issue had passed, until 3 months later when she showed up at our home. It's been a while, she said sweetly, rushing past us to scoop Janice into her arms. Granny, I've gotten really good at singing, Janice beamed, proud of herself. Oh, then sing something for me, she said eagerly. I wanted to delay it, to protect Janice, but my mother-in-law insisted. Janice sang, and for a moment, I held my breath, waiting for the harsh criticism I feared. But surprisingly, my mother-in-law clapped and praised her. You did well, you've practiced a lot. Paul and I exchanged looks of relief. Maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't crush Janice's spirit after all. But as the day went on, and after Janice had fallen asleep, my mother-in-law's true feelings came out. Didn't you think her singing was terrible, Erica? It's a waste of money sending her to that class. I'll teach her myself. I turned to Paul, my anger bubbling. I expected him to defend us. Instead, after a few minutes of silence, he gave in. All right, Mom, teach her for a while, he said. I was stunned. Was no one going to think about how Janice felt? She loved her voice training, she was proud of it. I knew my mother-in-law's strict methods could destroy that joy. But I said nothing for the moment. That night, I barely spoke to Paul. I was too angry to even look at him. The next morning, I broke the news gently to Janice. Janice, from today, instead of your regular class, Grandma is going to teach you at home. Her face fell, she looked down but nodded quietly. My heart ached for her. Later that day, my mother-in-law arrived, all smiles. Janice, Grandma's going to teach you to sing even better. But the lesson quickly turned sour. Within an hour, she was snapping, scolding, and criticizing every tiny mistake. Wrong again, pay attention, start over. I stepped in, trying to calm things down. Mother-in-law, please be a little gentler. Stay out of it, she snapped. Go do your housework, if you can even manage that. 4 hours of grueling practice later, Janice slumped into a chair, exhausted and disheartened. If I'm going to get yelled at this much, I don't want to sing anymore, she said sadly. I clenched my fists. I couldn't let this continue. Over the next week, the strict lessons continued, but then one day, Janice came to me and said, "I don't want Grandma to teach me anymore. I don't want to sing." I knelt down and hugged her. "You don't have to, sweetie, you can stop if you want." After a pause, I asked, "Would you like to go back to your voice training classes?" Immediately, her face lit up. She still loved singing, she had just been scared and hurt by the harsh treatment. The next day, I called my mother-in-law. "Mother-in-law, from tomorrow, Janice will return to her voice training school," I said firmly. "What? After just a week she gives up? It's because you raised her to be weak," she yelled. I calmly replied, "Maybe so, but Janice wants to go back, and it seems, even with your education, the only way you know how to teach is by crushing her spirit. She prefers her voice coach." She ranted and raved, but I simply hung up the phone. She could fuss all she wanted. What mattered to me was protecting my daughter's love for music, and her happiness. Back then, Janice's visits had slowly stopped. After she started taking lessons from a new voice teacher, she didn't seem to want to see her grandmother anymore. I later found out that my mother-in-law had been too strict during their music lessons, just like how my own mother had been with me when I was younger. One day, Janice said, "I spoke to Grandma. She told me it's okay not to come anymore. She said she didn't really want to teach me either." Hearing that, I felt an unexpected pang of guilt. I didn't realize how much I had hurt my mother-in-law, even if it wasn't intentional. Back when I was little, my mother had been strict about music too, but I had always hoped that the next generation would have it a little easier. Maybe I had pushed things too far without meaning to. That night, I confessed to my husband, "Paul, I think I did something unforgivable to your mom," I said quietly. Paul looked truly sorry when he heard what had happened. He apologized for his own role in it too. I remembered how angry I had been when he once suggested that we should quit Janice's voice lessons and just let his mother teach her instead. I had been so furious that I almost punched him. But luckily, Janice didn't end up hating music. She still loved singing. Because of that, I decided to let the past go and forgive him. A couple of weeks later, Paul came to me looking excited. "My sister's getting married next month," he said. "She asked us to perform at the wedding." I blinked in surprise. "Perform? What kind of performance?" I was thinking of gathering a few friends from my band and doing a mini concert, but my sister also really wants you and my mother to sing. The idea of singing with my mother-in-law made my stomach twist. "Wait, you mean, I'll be singing with your mom?" I asked carefully. "Yeah, looks like it," Paul said casually. Singing together with my critical, sarcastic mother-in-law? I wasn't sure how that would turn out, but a small part of me thought, if I sang better than her, maybe she wouldn't be able to look down on me anymore. The next day, I immediately began practicing. But no matter how much time passed, my mother-in-law didn't practice at all. One day, I asked her directly, "Mother, aren't you going to practice too?" She just scoffed and said, "People like you who aren't talented need practice. I don't. I'm naturally better than you even without it." Her words stung, but I didn't want to waste my energy arguing. Instead, I focused on myself. I took extra voice lessons, practiced every day, and pushed myself harder than ever. I hadn't sung in public in years, and honestly, I was nervous. I didn't want to make a fool of myself, especially in front of my husband's family. Finally, the day of the wedding arrived. The ceremony went beautifully, and then, it was time for the entertainment. First, Paul performed with his band. He looked so handsome and confident up there, playing his guitar like a pro. I was completely captivated by him. When his performance ended, it was supposed to be my turn, along with my mother-in-law. But right before we were supposed to go on stage, she suddenly whispered, "I'm not feeling well, you'll have to sing by yourself." "What?" I gasped. "That's not fair, you can't just back out now." She just smirked and said cruelly, "What's the matter? Afraid to sing alone because you're ugly and uneducated?" My hands clenched into fists at my sides. I could see now, this was her plan all along. She wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. Fine, two could play at that game. Keeping my voice calm, I leaned in and whispered back, "Well, even if I'm ugly and uneducated, I practiced hard, unlike you." Her eyes widened in shock. The people around us started murmuring, sensing the tension. I quickly apologized to the nearby guests for the disturbance and stood up, refusing to let her get the better of me. "If you're really so amazing, Why are you too scared to sing? I whispered sharply. Red-faced, she snapped back. I don't want to sing with a loser like you. She even insulted my parents, calling them incompetent. Her cruelty burned in my chest. I wanted to run away. But if I did, she'd win. So instead, I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. Since I was singing solo now, I changed the song. I chose an aria from The Marriage of Figaro, a song I used to love singing when I was younger. As the music began, all the fear melted away. My voice soared across the hall, strong and clear, each note filled with all the passion and hard work I had poured into my practice. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. People were standing up, clapping, cheering. Someone even said, "Is she a professional?" I smiled and bowed. "Congratulations on your wedding. It's been a while since I sang in front of people, so I was nervous. Thank you so much for listening." When I returned to my seat, Janice ran up to me, eyes sparkling. "Mom, you were amazing. Will you teach me how to sing too?" My heart swelled with pride. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law sat stiffly, clearly seething. She muttered under her breath, "Anyone can sing like that, don't get cocky." I decided to ignore her. But then, something unexpected happened. My sister-in-law smiled brightly and said, "Mother, you should sing too. I've never heard you sing before. Please." The guests around us started clapping, encouraging her. Everyone had heard that she was a top graduate from a famous music college. She couldn't refuse now. With a fake smile, she slowly stood up and went to the stage. As she began to sing, the excitement quickly faded. Her voice was shaky and off-pitch. People started whispering, confused and uncomfortable. Her singing was bad, really bad. When she finished, there was only a light, awkward scattering of applause. Nothing like the response I had gotten. She came back to the table, her face burning red with humiliation. "It's your fault," she snapped at me. "If you hadn't sung so well, no one would have made me sing." I stayed calm and said, "I think your daughter just wanted to hear you sing, that's all." My words seemed to hit her hard. She stayed silent, her face twisted with frustration. Seeing her like that, I realized something. All her harsh criticism, her cruel words, they came from her own fear and insecurity. She had spent her life judging others because she was afraid of being judged herself. But that day, in front of everyone, the truth came out. And finally, I felt free. Free from her words, free from her judgment. I was proud of myself, and more than anything, I was proud that my daughter, Janice, wanted to learn music because she loved it, not because she was afraid. The wedding continued on, and the rest of the night passed peacefully. But deep inside, I knew, something important had changed forever.